Okay, guys, so just a minute ago I was talking about how right now it really feels like the left is cooked. Just cooked, not even medium rare, but well done. Very well done cooked. A lot of it has to do with just the general public perception of progressive values, progressivism in general, from your, like, average person. And as you know, the right recognizes the battleground for politics that the internet has become. Like, as much as I hate to say it, it almost feels like nearly half of the political battle that exists now in America is happening on Twitter and other social media. Like, if some right-wing pundit can find a story where they can generate a culture war thing off of it, it can literally lead to bills getting passed in several red states. If that's not the internet having an impact on real-world politics in a blatant way, I don't know what is. I think the idea that the internet politics and the real-world politics are disconnected and they don't matter at this point is a pretty moot argument, when so many Republican politicians are literally just copying or aping their topics and their positions from internet culture warriors on the right. And something the left has been very bad at is the recognition that a good perception on the internet matters a lot. How many, like, groups have you seen become practically, like, I mean, what's the best way to put this? How many groups or fandoms or pieces of media have you seen fail in some way because enjoying that piece of media became seen as a bad thing online because of, like, a general push against it? Like, have you ever enjoyed, like, a show or a TV show or like, I don't know, a movie or some piece of media that, like, a bunch of people decided they don't like for some reason, and they went after it, and then it suffered because of that, because they were able to dominate the narrative? You know? Like, I think it's important to recognize that, like, having some level of control of the narrative is important. And the right knows this, and it's why the right has been so successful lately. The left, on the other hand, not so much. And it really almost feels like the idea of convincing people that your ideas are worth believing in is seen as a bad thing on the left. I mentioned before that it feels like on the left, a very common virtue signal is to engage in expression of your political values in the most inevitably angering to the average person way possible. And then when they get upset about it, for them to then double down on it and say, see, I'm getting shit for holding these progressive values, aren't I such a good lefty? A good example of this is like those sort of faux feminist accounts on TikTok where it's like some lady going on a rant about how, I don't know, it was like that one lady who said that she saw a man approaching her in the parking lot, and then she screamed at him until he, like, walked away, and she made the TikTok saying, I'm literally shaking right now, and it went viral. You guys remember that? Like, her response to the criticism was, seeing all these men get so mad at me for protecting myself here really just shows me that I did the right thing. Because for a lot of these, like, hyper-progressive virtue signaling types, the idea that you are willing to express these values in a way that upsets other people, normal people, is the virtue signal. The way that being willing to be so progressive that you socially ostracize yourself is a common virtue signal. But because of it being such a common virtue signal, it means that it is a very common thing for people on the left to performatively ostracize themselves from the average person. A really good example of this has to be the recent sort of heightening of the pro-Palestine protests. Now, obviously, as you guys know, I am very pro-Palestine, but much to you guys' chagrin, I've had to criticize the movement a lot more than I'd like to lately. A large part of that being that more than you would expect, we have been getting stories a lot like this in relation to pro-Palestine advocacy. Indian-American protester Reedy Patel arrested for threatening Bakersfield City Council members. get ready to see some of the craziest ranting and unhinged virtue signaling that you've ever seen. Virtue signaling so hard it's literally illegal, and she got charged with like 20 felonies 5 seconds later.
It's very clear to me as someone who's been an organizer for the past couple of years that none of you care, because you guys don't care about anything happening in Palestine or any other country where oppression occurs, because you don't care about the oppression occurring here. And I understand that you guys are all horrible people, but the thing is, 2,300 people being evicted in the last year, those are votes. And you guys, those are votes to win here in Bakersfield. And while you guys parade Gandhi around as a Hindu holiday called Chaitra Navratri starts off this week, I remind you that these holidays that we practice, that other people in the global south practice, believe in violent revolution against their oppressors. And I hope one day somebody brings the guillotine and kills all of you. Increased criminalization for no...
So, I get it if you have those thoughts in private about some leaders of the world. I get it. Have those thoughts. Do your Fed posting in private, okay? Fed post in private. Do not Fed post like this in public, because you very well might end up with federal charges.
This week, I remind you that these holidays that we practice, that other people in the global south practice, believe in violent revolution against their oppressors. And I hope one day somebody brings the guillotine.
This is a temper tantrum. You recognize that, right? Political advocacy should not be public temper tantrums. The left is known not for passion, but for temper tantrums. And it's hard to argue against that perception when so many on the left are like this. When the people on the left that are on TV and on the news are like this. Or, God, do you guys remember that anti-work Reddit mod? It really, really sucks that there isn't some, like, the same level of control of the narrative the right has on the left, because it means that people like this are now going to be forever associated with whatever movement the left advocates for. In this case, pro-Palestine issues. And now we're even closer to there being a full legal justification to ban advocacy for Palestine. We're already teetering on the edge of there being a pretty solid, pretty solid evidence to use in court to say that advocacy for Palestine is pro-terrorism, and that it should be banned or responded to in the same way that people marching outside of like the Capitol calling for the beheading of the president should be. Like, that is how, like, we are teetering on the edge there. People like this help to get us closer to advocacy for Palestine becoming illegal. Because if this is all it's associated with, the idea that it's just an issue people are using their freedom of speech to talk about isn't going to hold up in court. Certainly not a conservative-dominated one. The problem is most spokespeople for the left have no charisma and are not good with words. Oh, yeah. Well, it's not even that they have no charisma and aren't good with words. They don't care to have good charisma or be good with words. They want to have a temper tantrum in public that other progressives will cheer them on for. Do you think this was, like, genuine anger when she said, I hope they bring the guillotine to your house? Or do you think that was her, like, using all the buzzwords, the global south, the guillotine, violent revolution? That was to look cool to her friends. That was so when she got off of the stage, her friends would be like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. That was so cool. And instead, she got escorted out by the police, arrested, and got 20 felonies. 20 felony charges.
And kills all of you. Increased criminalization for no need other than you don't like when people come and hold you guys accountable for introducing ceasefire resolutions, because the only escalation in violence has been by you all, and so there's no need to continue in the last 5...
She's talking to the Bakersfield, California City Council, by the way, is who she's talking to. The Bakersfield, California City Council. I'm pretty sure geographically the opposite side of the world from Israel and Palestine. Like, it's fucking Bakersfield. And it's the city council. What is Bakersfield supplying the IDF with, like, weaponry or something that I don't know about?
5 years I've attended city council meetings, there's never been metal detectors, there's never been more cops. The only reason you're doing it is because people actually don't care if you guys don't like them, and they're actually resisting, so you want to criminalize them. So regardless...
None of what she has said there made sense, especially because she proceeded to drop a death threat.
Of whether you elect people into office, they'll backstab you, they'll let you die, and for that reason, you guys want to criminalize us with metal detectors? We'll see you at your house. We'll murder you.
Man. If I was Palestinian, I'd be saying, man, look at my American advocates. I'm not getting saved at all. I'm so fucked. That's what I'd be saying if I saw this and I was Palestinian. I'd be like, oh, I'm so fucked, dog. Look at my advocates. Look at my American advocates.
Next speaker, please.
Do we not get the response?
Lance, followed by Kev, followed by Valeria.
Oh, we do. Okay.
Ms. Patel, that was a threat, what you said at the end, and so the officers are going to escort you out and take care of that.
I love that. That went so hard. So the officers are going to escort you out, and they're going to take care of that. God, what do you think her reaction was when she heard that? When she found out there were going to be consequences to her actions? What do you think the reaction was? Like, just the cold sweat? Yeah. Oh no, not the consequences of my actions. Oh no. It gets even funnier too, because she ended up pleading not guilty in court. I think she thinks she's going to get out of this one, but she literally threatened the entire city council to their face twice.
A pro-Palestinian protester who was arrested for threatening to murder Bakersfield City Council members is out of jail this morning. But last week's comments made by 28-year-old Riddhi Patel are making headlines across the globe. Bakersfield Vice Mayor Andre Gonzalez appeared on CNN yesterday to talk about those threats. He also spoke with 17 News.
I mean, she has been one to make outlandish remarks, to be very aggressive, to use expletives at city council for sure. So those types of activities, we've been...
It's really unfortunate because something that the left sees as one of the most great virtue signals you can do is making men, white people, insert a privileged group of people, making them uncomfortable is seen as a fundamentally, principally good thing. Do you guys understand what I'm getting at here? The idea that you're lefty person takes pride in making men or straight people or white people uncomfortable, and they'll tweet about how much they enjoy that. It's in many cases kind of based, sometimes it's just I'm trans, and if that makes people uncomfortable, then I don't care. Good for them, and that's based. But then there's also this general love of that idea, this idea that making those groups uncomfortable is an objective you want to succeed at. It really feels like the left has made it such that representing yourself as someone willing to take a constant beating from society in being the most ineffective rhetoric spewer you can be is that's what you gotta be to be a good leftist these days. It's really bizarre, right? Then again, it's not even succeeding, because even among the left, it really seems like a lot of people are tapping out. I know that even among my own subscribers, I've never seen so many stupid comments that are right-leaning from my own subs in some cases. Recently I put out a video, I forgot what it was. It was on woke Warhammer or something. And I had dozens of people who had been subbed to me for 2 or 3 years commenting nah, this is definitely shoehorned in wokeness. This is why I don't watch BreadTube anymore. And it's holy shit. There are people who were like subbed to me 2 or 3 years ago who came to my videos today to comment about how I'm wrong about this insert thing not being woke anymore, and then saying they don't watch BreadTube anymore because of this stuff. So there are a lot of people who were fully into like BreadTube stuff a few years ago who left and became more conservative because of the state that things are in right now. A lot of the loss in momentum for the left isn't just lost momentum for the left, it was transferred to the right. Those people jumped off board the left and got into the right. They kept her in jail for like a month. Yeah.
We've seen in the past.
Like, this rhetoric is pushing away very progressive people from having any association with the left.
But never have we seen or heard from her a threat to murder us. And that crosses a line.
Vice Mayor Gonzalez says there have been at least 2 instances in which Patel approached him outside of City Council and approached him.
And also in private settings when I'm out to dinner, for example. She's come up to my table and cussed me out in front of the entire...
This woman's mentally ill. This woman is very clearly mentally ill, by the way. I do think the left... It feels like the left... You would think the left and the right would have akin levels of mental illness, like, present within political sides. Like, on one end, you've got the right... Kinda, you have to be a little crazy to believe what the right believes, unironically, or very brainwashed. But then you've got the left, where the entire... One of the core ideas of the left is, like, giving attention and, like, acceptance to people who are, like, differently abled mentally. And so it makes me wonder, like, are there just more crazies on the left? Or are there more crazies on the right? Because it seems like if there are more crazies on the right, they're better at just, like, not being crazy always. Or at least enough to push away the average person. But with the left, it seems like the crazy people are doing crazy shit all the time. And there's always a new crazy person on the left doing a crazy thing that's, like, you can't even defend it. Like, can you really defend what this woman's doing? Like, even if you agree with what she's doing, she's being so ineffective, it's actually, like, impossible to defend. Like, she's literally threatening the city council members of Bakersfield, California for not stopping the genocide in Palestine. Like, it's so ineffective, even though you agree with her general conclusion, for the most part, I'm sure. It's like, man, I kind of just want to see her go to jail for this, because she sucks so much. And when even I have that vibe, most people who are, like, center-leaning are going to have a much more harsh opinion on the left and her than I will.
Entire restaurant.
Reddy Patel was arrested last Wednesday during the city council meeting after telling city council members that she was going to go to their house and murder them.
You guys are all horrible human beings, and Jesus probably would have killed you himself. And I hope one day somebody brings the guillotine and kills all of you motherfuckers.
Patel and other pro-Palestinian protesters have gone to city council meetings demanding that Bakersfield pass a Gaza ceasefire resolution. Patel faces 18 felony charges and has pleaded not guilty. Bail was reduced to $500,000, and this morning Patel is not listed as in custody. A pro-Palestinian protest...
I guess they let her out, but, I mean, does she still have the charges? Seems like she still has those felony charges, though. She's just going to have to reappear in court. It's pretty common with federal charges, is you're going to spend, like, years before the actual trial happens. So I guess she got bailed out. And now she's crying, bro, this woman is dumb. Listen, the consequences of her actions existed. She could have never predicted something like that. She's never had consequences for this behavior before, and now they've just happened. Like, she clearly felt very confident that she had nothing to worry about in saying and doing these things. And now that reality's kind of shattered, so of course she's crying, you know? Like, oh, fuck, this whole time I haven't been just, you know, getting my good girl points from my little Tankie Twitter group. Aw. Xander Hall, this reminds me of that one video of anti-Israel protesters randomly entering a Starbucks and screaming at the underpaid workers. It makes us look like complete idiots. Oh, do you have that video? I saw that the other day on Twitter. Do you have that one? Oh, God. Yeah. Holy shit. The boycotting as well. Like, boycott's one of the most unpopular forms of protest. And then, of course, another unpopular form of protest. Like, you realize there are statistics taken for, like, how popular forms of protest are with, like, the general public. And one of the most unpopular forms of protest there is blocking public roadways. And it is the go-to method of protest for the pro-Palestinian movement, is blocking public roadways that are actively, like, open. It is literally in the top 3 most unpopular forms of protest. As, like, studied. There are studies to track what the least popular forms of protest are that have the least positive impact, even which ones make people go against the values that people are protesting for. The public road blocking makes people in favor of attacking those protesters statistically. It makes it go from having sympathy for their position to being in favor of violence against those protesters. If it is that type of protest, that is how angry the majority of people are about that sort of protest. And it is the default, let's go protest in the street thing that like Palestinian protesters do. It's so, please, for God's sakes. Why does cringe protesting sting us more than it does conservatives, especially when conservatives are always more obnoxious and factually incorrect? Because, NASDAQ, the left has no control of the narrative. That's what I keep trying to emphasize to you guys. The right has videos with millions of views, massive amounts of support, donations. They've got their content creators that live in compounds with skate parks in the fucking basement, like Tim Pool, and like the underground bunker Alex Jones has, despite how many lawsuits he's been through. He still has his underground super bunker studio, and all of his Rolexes and shit, and all of his supercars. Like, what's his name? Andrew Tate. Like, you have to understand, when you are a good businessman who can rally up large amounts of money and knows how to control a narrative and like speak to a broad amount of people and has like no shame and just being like a clickbaiting, clout chasing shithead, then that you're going to see much larger success than you're going to see on the left. And so I don't think the left needs to play the same game as the right, but I definitely think better control of the narrative and not allowing people like this to be the representatives of the left is a pretty good way to go about it. The fact that we aren't seeing every progressive figure across the board denounce this woman is really upsetting. At the very least, the org she was a part of fired her. So there's that at least, but I doubt that'll be getting much attention, you know? I really think the left needs to go on like a full self-cleanse arc of disavowing and separating ourselves from the types of people who are dragging the left's reputation down. People like Hassan. As I mentioned before, if you ask like the average person who is like not politically in touch online or in real life, if they know about him, what they think of Hassan, they do not have a positive opinion. On the bright side, Hassan's follower counts and sub counts and average viewer counts and everything are all dropping. Like every consecutive month, Hassan's numbers are dropping in every metric, and by quite a lot, and he's getting pretty stressed about it. So hopefully in a couple years, there won't be a Hassan to act as like such a core cyst on the left's like back, you know what I mean? But there will always be a group of people online within the left that are trying to use the space for their own gains, and that will always be something that needs to be fought against. Hassan wasn't getting this much hate even 6 months ago. It's ridiculous. Well, a lot of it has to do with the fact that Hassan in the last like 4 or 3 months has really leaned into the Tankie audience fully. The fact that his numbers have shrunk so much realizes he has to niche down. He's never, ever reaching the numbers he had it like before ever again. He'll never be like a 40, 30,000 viewer streamer ever again. He's now like at best a 20,000 viewer streamer currently, and it's only dropping. And I think he knows he has to niche down to his like hyper anti-American fans and build like that core follower base that won't ever go away of like sycophants, because he's losing that broad normie appeal. He's not going to have a big audience for much longer. So he's trying to niche down to have a smaller but more reliable audience. He's recognizing that, like, he's on his way out. Tankie's you. Yep. We do need a normie leftist figurehead, though, one that actually has correct takes and doesn't parrot Second Thought. Yeah, people like Second Thought are falling off really bad as well. God, do you see Second Thought claiming that he's, like, not making enough money to keep his channel going, but meanwhile he's making, like, a minimum of $5,000 a month on Patreon or something like that? It's so fucking shameful, dude. How much you want to bet? Like, he has his own studio he's bought, by the way. Second Thought owns his own studio. It's so sad. Like, the wealthy people on the left are the ones who are grifting Tankie shit. Like, actual progressive values, not very successful, believe it or not. Not very attractive, because they aren't based in hate. Tankie thought is based in hate. It's just not hate directed at minorities. It's hate directed at a group of people because of their socioeconomic status. Meanwhile, the right is based on hate and weaponizes hate towards minorities. The left, progressives, though, like people like us, we don't work off of hate. We work off of support for groups of people who are under attack. And working, like, wanting to, there's not a lot of, like, emotional drive in the average person to want to, like, advocate for other people because you like, want to advocate for them because they're under attack and they deserve to be, like, advocated for. Most people are motivated to get involved in things by emotional feelings like anger. And so Tankie shit, just like right-wing shit, weaponizes people's hate. And that is the biggest tool that grifters take advantage of, your emotions. The big leftist one that is tolerable and has correct takes is Vosh, but Vosh cannot really grow anymore due to how vehemently he is hated. Yeah, I do feel like Vosh is kind of the definition of your reputation precedes you, where I feel like I don't know if Vosh's name is, like, clean enough right now from all of, like, the shit talking that has happened over the years for there to be much, like, greater growth from this point for a while. After a while, I think it'll go back to normal. Like, I think in 2 years, maybe, he'll be back to growing, like, as much as he ever was. But for, like, the next couple years, I think his name's been so soured that until we see another big influx of progressive viewership online, which will come, it inevitably will come, the right always fumbles it for itself. It's not so much the left will do something that brings people over, it's that the right will do something that pushes people away. The left will be the only alternative, and the left will hopefully not, but probably, if we repeat the same path, fracture up again into a bunch of little groups, then slowly fizzle off, and then the cycle will repeat if it just goes on and on again. The years of Vosh's own fan base joking about him being a pedophile didn't really help. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, something I've noticed, and I've honestly put my foot down about this kind of stuff, is the ironic negative jokes about, like, lefty figures that those lefty figures watch. Like, for example, The Quartering, a conservative figure, famously pissed in his basement drain on stream. Like, imagine, like, my basement, but there's no carpet, and in the middle of the room, there's a drain. That was his basement setup, and he pissed into the fucking drain. And then, for a while there, whenever I'd say, okay, guys, I have to go use the bathroom, and I'd go use my, like, furnished bathroom I have over there, like, people in chat would joke about me pissing into my basement drain, like The Quartering. And it's like, do you guys realize how bad that is? Like, I don't mind the memes and the jokes. Like, I actually think it's kind of funny. But you do recognize that, like, people online hear you joke about that, and instead of taking the idea that The Quartering is a basement pisser from that joke, they get the idea that lefty figure is a basement pisser from that joke, right? And the same thing happened to Vosh with the years and years and years of people, like, ironically calling him a pedophile for, like, to pretend to be conservatives, like, to make fun of the conservative memes. It's like, making fun of conservatives by repeating the shit they say about progressive figures in a way that, like, someone who isn't in on the joke can't tell is ironic is not helpful at all. At all. A good example of this, actually, of how people can fall for things that are total memes is the Chud Logic thing. For those of you guys don't know, ChudLogic, a far-right YouTuber who does like drama content, his like meme is that he says any content creator that he covers in like a negative way has AIDS. He's done it to me. He's done it to Dark Viper. He just has like his fans repeat that person has AIDS over and over again. And they'll comment it like on your tweets. They'll comment it on your videos, and they'll get it going as like a rumor because random people will hear that and they don't know that's not true. And so for all I know, some percentage of the people who came saying, Xanderhall, don't you have AIDS? Weren't just ChudLogic fans trolling. A fair amount of them were probably people who heard a ChudLogic fan say that and believed it. And so a lot of the left's biggest problems is just playing into negative stereotypes and jokes like that normal people, when they hear it being joked about ironically, think it's serious. And so Vosh putting his foot down about those kind of jokes is completely understandable. I've done the same thing. Like if there's like if a conservative does something or says something and you guys want to repeat it like ironically, I put my foot down about that because most people will not know it's ironic. They're just going to see it and think it's real. And there's already enough like bad shit being said about progressive figures as it is. There's also the fact that I do think a lot more left-wing viewers of left-wing content online tend to be lazier. Like, I've looked at the like-to-dislike ratios and like-to-view ratios of conservative content creators compared to left-wing content creators, and it's way lower for left-wing content creators. A left-wing YouTuber might get 100,000 views on a video, and they'll get, like, 5,000 likes. They'll get 5,000 likes and, like, no dislikes, because let's say in this example, because only 5% of the 100,000 lefties that watch the video cared to hit the like button and boost the channel. And I see the same trend in my own channel. Like, I'll see you guys complain about the success and popularity of conservative figures over the left, and yet we've got 100 more viewers right now than we do likes on the stream, and there's been 1,800 people uniquely who've already been in here. So in reality, of the 1,806 people that have watched this stream, 202 have hit the like button. That type of percentage is pretty high, to be fair, because I've got a pretty like loving and close-knit community. But if I uploaded a video and I didn't have people spamming like right now to try to change my point of what I'm saying at the moment and like try to invalidate what I'm saying, you guys might be able to recognize like the left has like a tendency to think, my like doesn't count, my donation doesn't count, my comment doesn't count, and so much lower engagement on left-wing content, and engagement is all that matters on social media, like YouTube and Twitter and stuff, and that's why, at the moment, the left is on a super fucking downslope. The content and the advocates aren't particularly appealing, and even if they were, the fan bases of those people are busy making ironic negative memes calling their favorite lefty figure a pedophile or a basement pisser, or like not liking their videos or commenting or giving support. And meanwhile, like these conservative pundits will get like, do you ask for likes in videos typically? Yeah, I ask for likes after every segment at the end. And this isn't like me complaining. It's me just pointing out why this is the case. Social media works very simply. Engagement matters. The right gets more engagement. Not only that, but have you ever tuned into like some nothing, nobody, 300 viewer Nazi streamer that you've never heard of before? And like, it's just some far right, alt-right stream that comes up in like YouTube or something. It's like, what the fuck? Who is this person? And they've got like, they might have like 50 viewers, and yet every other message is a donation. Have you ever noticed that? Like, go to a Kick stream or something, and like almost every other message is a donation. Watch like an Aiden Ross stream or like a Sneeko stream or any of their content. Every other chat message between the W's and L's is a donation, sometimes ranging up to $100. We covered an Aiden Ross segment recently where Aiden Ross got a $500 donation from some random guy and just surrounded by $5 and $10 donations. Because even for a smaller size, the donations, the engagement, the likes, the comments, all of it is so much higher in proportion for right-wingers, because these right-winger content creators, they're so shameless. Every other sentence of their videos is self-promotion. You've noticed that, right? When we cover a quartering video or a video from one of these like weird, like conservative channels, like insert any right-wing channel, half their runtime is self-promotion sometimes. Do you remember that one, who is it? Brett Cooper video we covered, where it was a 5-minute video, and the first 3 minutes were her intro, please like and subscribe, sponsorship, and then her talking for like 2 minutes and the video ends. Do you remember that one? That was fucking insane. And yet, massive amounts of support on it. Because those people that are watching the content know that the success of the figures advocating for their ideas means the success of their ideas. And whether they think that the content doesn't deserve it, or they think their like won't count, or whatever it may be, they see dropping a like on their favorite conservative channels' videos as like an own to the left. And it kind of is, because it means that right-wing figure in a month is going to be able to afford an even bigger house, for example, or another Bugatti, in the case of like Andrew Tate or Aiden Ross or Sneeko. And the more financially successful they are, the more appealing it looks, right? So many of these right-wing figures are so successful already that they have so much money that they can say, look what being a conservative gets you. Look what hustling and pulling yourself up by your bootstraps and being right-wing, look what kind of life this will make for you. Look at my nice house and my nice car and my nice everything, you know? And then, of course, when it comes to arguing against their ideas, how many times have you seen in my comments I criticize a big right-wing YouTuber, and the only response that their fans can muster in the replies to my video is, well, he has more subs than you. His video has more views than you, so who's winning? Who's correct? After a certain point, they use the fact that they're so successful and they have so much support as the sole basis for why their views are correct. So once they're already on top, the fact they're on top is all the evidence they need to suggest to other people that they have the correct position. More subs equals correct, Lamau. Have you read my comments before? Have you read the negative comments I get? That is like 60% of what conservatives comment on my videos whenever I whenever I cover like a big right-wing channel and their fans come. They basically solely respond, well, they're bigger than you and more successful than you, so who's correct? Who's winning, you know? And it can't really argue against that point, right? Like, what can you say against that point? Like, fuck, yeah, this guy's got like 5 Bugattis, you know? And the average left-wing pundit online is like scraping by paycheck to paycheck. You know what I mean? So it's like, fuck, you know? The left is kind of disadvantaged at every turn, rhetorically, financially, platformally. Hell, the TOS on these sites right now is especially aggressive towards the left and permissive of the right. Recently, we covered a channel called The Offensive T-Slur, only the name is not T-Slur, it's just the full-on slur. And this right-wing channel has over 100,000 subs, a silver play button from YouTube, and a signed letter congratulating them on hitting 100,000 subs from YouTube's CEO. YouTube's CEO personally signed a letter congratulating The Offensive T-Slur on 100,000 subs, and then had that name, The Offensive T-Slur, with the slur on it, printed onto a silver play button and mailed to them for display on their wall. YouTube is literally printed out, congratulations, slur. That is how attached they are to their, dedicated they are to their, are they actually trans man? Yeah. Hold on, let me show you. Has he gotten his silver play button yet? He's at 150,000 subscribers. Wow, he's gained like 30,000 subs since last I covered him a couple weeks ago. He's gained 30,000 subs in 1 month. Holy shit. This guy's going to be at 1 million subs by next year. God damn. He's going to have a gold play button with the T-slur on it. But here's the channel. Very big channel. Signed letter from the CEO of YouTube, as well as a printed silver play button. Yeah, this is literally all just like basically the new Calvin Gara. Yeah, this channel had 20,000 subs when I covered it for the first time. When I had 15,000 subs, this channel had 20,000 back in 2019 and I covered it. Now at 148,000 subscribers. Do you want to know why? Because the people who watch this stuff say, oh shit, a trans person pushing trans hate, I need to boost this. This is a big win for our side. And they recognize that popular figures advocating for their positions is valuable. And they do their part. Something that is just far less common on the left. Xander Hall, over 300 viewers on YouTube. Congratulations. Baller. Thank you, thank you. Hey, Xander Hall, just watched your female custodies video. Just wanted to mention that one of the Twitter comments you featured is from a guy called Marshall Bohemad. I had an argument with him a year ago, and he is a complete chud. He was one of the catalysts to becoming a lefty and eventually finding you. Oh, cool. Well, look, full circle. Look at that lore, McWanker01. Look at that lore. Anyway, the fact that channels like this are not only getting, like, a pass on YouTube, but are being, like, pushed by YouTube heavily and being rewarded by YouTube, and the CEO of YouTube is congratulating the channel whose name has a fucking slur in it, I think it's pretty safe to say that right now we are fighting the most uphill of battles that we could possibly fight. The platforms are unironically... I mean, look at Twitter, where right now, if you reply to one of Elon Musk's tweets saying cis man, you will get a notification saying, we have suppressed your tweet for hateful speech. If you tweet cis man, you will get a notification from Twitter announcing that your account has been suppressed for hateful speech. That is the state of the internet that the left has to exist on right now. God knows we don't need the general problems the left already faces on top of that, like random virtue signaling psychos threatening public officials on television. We don't need this right now. The left is already cooked enough. I'm genuinely curious to hear what you guys think of this whole situation down below in the comments. Please consider leaving a like if you want to support the channel. It really does help a lot. You can donate, subscribe, or gift a sub to support me financially on my website, and you can do so through YouTube, Twitch, Stream, Livestream Elements, and Patreon as well. We also have a merch section if you guys want to get some cool merch. I don't make any profit on it, don't worry. It's just the manufacturing and shipping fees you pay for, so if you want to pick one up, then, you know, you can always check it out. We got lots of cool merch. And, of course, don't forget to join my fan Discord, where we got all sorts of cool stuff going on. We do a lot of community events in there, like watch parties and call-in streams, so consider joining there so you can be part of the community. And, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. You know, comment down below if you did, and thank you for watching. Have a good one.